Good morning, and welcome back to Thorny Thoughts by Rose, where we come and just talk about what's going on. And what's going on is not good. I've been staying away from most media. I think I've been saying that for a little while now. It has been, well, let me see. It's been probably a good June, July, August, September, October, November, 6 months that I haven't been really able to really stay abreast about what's going on in the world. And the thing is that it's happened kind of by accident because we've had so much work to do here that when you're consumed by such a large-ish project, there's really very little room for anything else, really. I mean, you have enough time to maybe wash and put something in your mouth, which is really the time we have left. And then there's a couple of other life things that you have to do. You have to, go to the toilet once in a while, and etc., etc. And all of this takes time. So watching media is actually, and even creating media, is actually the least important in real life. Like, any time that you stop and think about it, it's really not that important. Even when you're talking about, profit and stuff like that. Profit is great if you can make it. But really, if it comes to profit and your health, and there's a serious health issue, you're not going to go to work. And forget the doctor's appointment. You're going to go to the doctor's appointment, and in fact, you're going to do whatever it takes. You're going to listen to the snake oil salesman, and you're going to buy whatever he's selling at that time, because that's when you are willing to do anything. So, of course, there are exceptions. But overall, I have been very, very busy, and instead of media, I choose, like this morning, because I can't sleep, as usual, I choose to sit in front of the fire. And yes, I have a medium in my hand, but I'm speaking to it. I'm not absorbing things from it. Not that it's better, because I'm sure I'm getting the equal opportunity in getting radiated, and I am certain that this is recorded and saved somewhere very safe, so that it could be used against me in a future time. And we are getting into that area now, that period in history again where, like Orwell, people inside their heads aren't making sense of things. They're stressed because they don't understand things, but they say nothing because they want to be good and polite citizens. I'm an odd bird, obviously. I'm a bird that obviously has different colored feathers, because, and no, actually, I don't always have different colored colored feathers because it's not obvious I'm weird. It's only obvious I'm weird when I open my mouth, actually. That's been my experience in my life. I'm totally cool until I open my mouth, and then I ruin it all. And then people, you can literally see when people have to contort their beliefs or their thinking. And the way that I learned or trained myself is by watching children react to my son who has autism. And as they started to grow older in age, the children started slowly realizing that he was not the same. And the thing with us sheeple, they tell us we are herd animals. I don't necessarily believe that, because there's many people that don't like crowds, don't like a lot of people, don't have a lot of friends. So they're either anomalies or we're not all herd animals. Perhaps yes, most of us are. I'm learning this new way of basically just categorizing people, because it makes things easier when you have a little bit of a category, and then you're able to quickly or more quickly, and it's true because this is true because it happened to me naturally, and this happens to some people naturally, and then they come up with systems, and then of course they teach people, and some people get really good at learning these systems. And I guess the system that I learned through my son's autism and his journey in his life is that I started seeing first children contort their face when they'd be listening to my son. And see, they were not yet proficient or fluent in political correctness. So I got to see the raw version, and then eventually it started being conditioned, like conditioner in fuzzy hair. It becomes smooth, unnatural to its own nature. And over time, as the children got more sophisticated, I only saw the beginning. When the wheels start turning, you only see the thought at the very beginning before they catch themselves that they're, oh my God, they're thinking this is just horrific, like a gasp, like that kind of idea. And I didn't realize that was happening, that I was learning that behavior, and I was learning to spot it. And I realized that sometimes we're not ready to hear things because we don't have certain things figured out yet. And some things need prerequisites. And that's why when you're in high school, at least in Canada, you can't take a course, and I would imagine this is this way everywhere. You can't take a course, for example, that's more advanced than the basic course of that same course. So, say math, grade 10, you can't take unless you've taken math grade 9, or I'm sure that there are some exceptions. I'm just talking first thing in the morning, so my tongue and my mouth is not quite yet warmed up. And so being in this position where I learned this, I now understand, and I'm a very slow learner, clearly. I now understand that you can literally just train yourself. If you're really ambitious, which, sadly, I'm not. If you're really ambitious, or you're a blue, for example, if we want to go with what I'm studying about these colors, you will inform yourself. Like, instructions are like great reading material for you. You're like a weirdo. For someone like me who's a yellow, you're like, what's wrong with you? And to a blue, a yellow is absolutely just a nightmare. Just a nightmare. And the thing is, okay, so let's just say we're all these colors. We're not these colors. It's ridiculous. It's an analogy. But the analogy is there to help us when we meet another yellow. For example, I met another yellow in the bank. I didn't freaking meet her, but I saw her yellow squirting everywhere. It was just ridiculous. I was like, oh my lord, this works. It's just because somebody, probably a blue, went around and was obsessed with taking information and categorizing it and figuring out, unleashing the secret of personalities. And I'm sure that there are millions or at least hundreds of other systems that would either be complementary or perhaps even, maybe conflicting. I can't see conflicting because there's just, the system actually is very good. Actually, it's very good. And so I'm kind of going along and letting life happen to me, and then looking at my life on a kind of daily basis now and going, okay, what happened today? And how did I do? Was I emotionally able to just not react and just kind of take the information in and then respond? Because that is my goal. Stop reacting, start responding. And that is like motto number 1 right now. That's where I'm at. And everybody's different. Everybody's got a different spot where they're in. And everybody is going to notice differently because they're in a different spot of their life. And then there's this pesky color coordination thing where like you're this color and then at your best you're awesome and at your worst you're really bad. Like, like the bad traits are really bad and then the good traits are really, really impressive. So every one of us has got that, good and bad. That's what makes us, us. And to be honest with you, this leads me to the next thing, to say that they're also trying to erase emotion. Emotion is absolutely a necessity in humanity. If they erase that, and also creativity, curiosity, empathy, there are many more, which I will not, entertain you with listing. I have to say that talking to you and now putting other things in place in my life where I am more prioritizing speaking to not only people but to you and to even myself. I know this is going to sound crazy, but even moments where I'm sitting alone and just looking at the fire, for example, and then I just say something out loud like, I'm so grateful that I'm here and that I figured this out, or that I'm able to, reflect. I'm grateful that I'm able to reflect because that is a skill. It's a taught skill and it's amazing. It's amazing. And this is what I've been thinking about lately, that we go to school and we spend most of our time in school away from our parents, away from people in our life that we were born to. So our village, the village we were born to, proper, we're slowly taken away from, making it look very natural that you're going through a process. But this process is nothing but hullabaloo, because we walk out of many years, like 20 years. I'm rounding because you're about 20 years old when you finish university, say. That's if you're not wanting to be like a brain surgeon or a rocket scientist or someone that supposedly lands on the moon, for example. You study a lot, disproportionately to someone that does something completely irrelevant like farming and baking and sewing and plumbing and electricity. Those are completely irrelevant. So they only take a few years to learn. And generally, you just have to go to college. So it's, those people don't really have to learn anything really valuable. I'm not sure if you cannot see me and not understand that I'm being sarcastic. I just want to point that out just for anyone that's not fluent in sarcasm. Sarcasm is my favorite language, and it's not spoken fluently in the general public always. But, so just in case. And not everybody likes sarcasm, that's another thing. And if you are one of those people, I apologize, but I do love sarcasm. And actually, it's very, very handy when you need to release something and you can get over someone's head and not offend them, not get mad. I know it's kind of a trick, but sometimes yellows and my colors just don't always like to go full throttle all the time because I get very tired. Anyways, a squirrel escaped. So there is a reason why I'm telling you this. So as of late, I haven't been watching really a lot of media. Whatever I need in order just to get an understanding of what's still going on in the world, that we haven't entered into Third World War proper, that I shouldn't be going and stocking up on rice or something more, or even still. And I happened to stumble the other day, and I think I've been telling you guys about how ridiculous the media is now. When you take a break and you have to come back to something, you get a much better reading. Because when you're in something, it's like a tea bag. When you're a tea bag, you're steeped in it. There's no way around it. You can't see what you're doing. You're in it. Okay, you can't examine it. But then when you're out of the tea, as it were, now you can see the tea. Not that a tea bag has eyes, but just go with me. Now you can see the tea because you're out of it. It's very simple. It's a very simple analogy. When the tea bag's out of the tea, it can now reflect on the tea because it can see it. But when you're in it, you're part of the tea. So when you're part of the problem and you're not reflecting on the problem, you're part of the problem. And when you're adding to the problem by not reclaiming yourself, your faculties, because if you went to school for 20 years, at the very least, you should be able to have a conversation with someone. And that's where it really brings me down to, I've noticed that the world, as I've stepped away, has continued to barrel down Mad Max lane. And we are becoming more deafened by the day, meaning we have larger mouths and our ears are shrinking. Not in reality, but in reality, but not in reality. Do you get me? What I mean is your ears aren't actually shrinking, but they're actually becoming obsolete because very few people are using them. And I stumbled on, my husband and I happened to get on a media blitz yesterday. I got stuck doing something, I went to research something, and as the algorithms are designed, I got hooked on, I don't know if it was like an Ariana Grande ridiculous. I've never watched the movie, and the algorithms insist on showing me things that my eyes are like, what? That can't be real. That must be AI. And you click on it, the bait is real, and the bait is, I get so upset with myself. So I fell down a rabbit hole. I had no idea that the Wicked Witch is still alive and well. I mean, I knew she was alive. I just didn't know she was still practicing. So, and she's managed, this wicked witch, to actually now look like she has sucked the life out of a bunch of young people, because she looks young, although when they do closer takes, you can see that she's definitely duct taped together, but she's definitely in the system still. She's definitely the proper education for our society, because we go to school to learn completely useless shit. Excuse my language. Let's try that again. We go to school to completely see, I can't even formulate the sentence without using my bold swearing. We go into school to be occupied, to use our time uselessly, wasting our time, to learn how to waste time and not reflect that we're wasting time. Like, why are we doing this? This is a waste of our time. When you're doing something that doesn't actually bear you any fruit, like, for example, when you're scrolling on your phone, just as an example, for quick reference, you sit like on those drugs where you're bent over, and instead of being bent over on the street and laying like a zombie and being completely obvious that you've completely lost it, you're in phase 1 of that phase, because you're still sitting like a zombie still. The only difference is that you have the ability to get up and look around you, and yet you don't most of the time. And right now, we don't yet have a full generation that's like 30 years old that has never known a world without technology. Those guys are coming up real soon. And right now, I am starting a business that is about teaching people how to live in the real world, because they get stuck and staying still too long. Whether it's, a device, whether it's TV, whether it's alcohol, whether it's drugs, whether it's some sort of cult that you are in. I will let you fill in the blanks. These are all time consumers and maintenance sort of for their system. They keep you in line because you're stuck in a system of addiction. When you're stuck in a system of addiction, you're stuck. And they know how to move you if needed, or use you in their way because you're not clear. You're obsessed by something. You're possessed by something. And just because a screen is not representative of a drug, that doesn't mean it is not. And actually, because it goes under the radar, it's actually way more sinister, because you're not on the street and in front of everyone blatantly not caring that your underwears are halfway down your butt. People can't see that you're sick and you're affected. And yes, it's maybe not your fault because you didn't know, but that's the point. Because we're not taught in school to reflect. And if we were taught in school, this society would be completely different. Believe me, it's like a butterfly effect. So, still I have not gotten to my point. Do you understand how important it is to prime someone before you tell them a story? Because we all understand the words coming out of my mouth differently. So it's important. So whoever's here, thank you. And you're actually going to get to the story. Back to yesterday. My husband and I got on a media blitz, as I mentioned. And I happened to notice the witch. I tried, as I might, not to press on the witch's podcast. The witch has got a podcast. She's not happy that she made billions of dollars. She's not happy that she's twisted millions of minds. She is still working for him. whoever the big HIM is. I don't believe he's wearing the white gown, though. She has a podcast. And it is just exactly like her show. Exactly like her show. But she actually is way more fake. Or I guess the cameras may be at her house, because I'm sure this is at her house or somewhere near her house, somewhere where she doesn't have to travel. She's so fake that it's like, oh, startling to the eyes how fake she is. But she's managed to somehow perfect her body. Now all of a sudden she's quite thin. She's got thick hair. It's thick, but it's curly, but not like her race curly. So it's very mixed messages. She's got a mishmash. She's all inclusive, as it were. She's politically correct. She's inclusive. Literally, figuratively, and visually. So I was first of all shocked. And she's got almost 1 million subscribers, like 700 plus. So shame on the 700 plus that subscribed. And shame on me for looking into this. She had a podcast about how this new phenomenon is happening with parents and children, and how children have decided, 1 in 3 in fact, 1/3 of Americans are estranged by choice. One in 3 Americans are estranged from their family members, either entirely or individually, by choice. And although I will say that I had done the same thing, I will say that there were several people on her guest podcast list that had very good reasons for stepping away, because there was no way of being able to live with these humans in your life. And I would say that should be always the case. If someone is abusive, truly abusive, and I mean abusive, again, what that means to you, to me, and what it means to you, especially in this time, is very different, or could vary very differently. Here's the thing. She's authorized. Let's make that clear, and that makes a very big difference. I, on the other hand, ladies and gentlemen, all 16 of you, if all 16 of you listen to this, am not authorized. And Alan Watt from Cutting Through the Matrix was not authorized. But I will say this in brackets. He was not authorized, but he changed my life. And people like Oprah, or people like, I don't want to say her name, the witch. She's authorized. And now all of a sudden she has a podcast. I'm very curious to see her rate of, I guess, popularity, because as of late people have started realizing who she is. So back to the witch. The way that they do her programming is so brilliant, because she is not a lone star. She's not a truth teller. She is an educator to the sheeple on behalf of the shepherds. Now, I have to tell you this club is very small, and if you understand what I am saying, then welcome. If you don't understand what I am saying, then stay tuned. You'll get it, because I think the future lies in speaking to each other in a little bit of an undercurrent, because being overt, moving into the future that's moving into, this 1984 Hunger Game, Maze Runner, Lord of the Rings, The Matrix type of future. Oh, and let's not forget the future crimes. If you are not creative with your language, and if you do not find people that understand your language quickly enough, you won't be able to communicate with anyone unless you want to go to jail and communicate with everyone in jail, which I think might just be the way, except I doubt that you're going to be able to talk to each other in jail too. So back to the witch and her amazing programmers. She still got programmers. You think she did all this work herself? Come on, ladies and gentlemen. Come on, get off the sauce. She starts off with a very strong argument that when you're being abused and you can't argue that, there's no reason why you should be in this relationship, especially when you grow to an age where you are now able to be mobile, you're able to get out, you're able to make your own decision, you are your own human being, you're 18 years old, you're allowed to smoke, drink, and do drugs. You are certainly allowed to make a decision when you are abused. So you see how that works? She did that perfectly, because who can disagree with that? Who can disagree with that? I mean, I can't. Notwithstanding the fact that I did that, I walked away from my family. But there was a situation. To this day, I don't think we've ever gone back and said, look, why don't we look at this actually like forensics people and discuss what happened here? Like, what did you do? What did I do? What did you do? What did you do? How did this become a cluster? Because it did. And it wasn't you just dancing there being crazy because I did something and that was it. You interacted somehow. So I stepped away. And each of us can probably walk away and tell a story of abuse. So it was better for everyone. But that was what was needed at the time, in order for us to all go to our corners, because we were scratching the crap out of each other. It wasn't pretty. But we all went to our corners, and we all had brains, and we all, maybe not all, but some of us, reflected. Some of us may have not reflected, but some of us were willing to put it behind us. So there has to be a combination. Either you have to be willing to put it behind us and go, forget it, like, let's just try again. Or, which I did that I did. But see, what happens when you do that is that you become like a person that just goes and hits their head, because you haven't changed anything. You go back to the same situation, and if you were hitting yourself in the head in the situation, or if you were going into boxing rings in that situation, or whatever your situation was, you didn't change anything. You just walked away, took a break, and go, okay, I'm going back in to try again. That's the whole point of family, is you don't choose family, and you should try to, for the sake of your future as you age, just for that sake alone, because that's what it's for, actually. Family is just basically insurance. It's insurance that you can lean on someone when you can't stand alone. That's kind of what it is. It's the nitty-gritty. It's not prestigious. It's not, oh, I want to be alone because I don't have anyone that understands me. You know how few people understand me? I'm the oddest, weirdest person. I have 16 subscribers because very few people understand what the hell is coming out of my mouth. I understand that. And therefore, I understand that I have to make concessions, and I'm the one that has to understand or try to understand people. Because if people can't understand me for whatever reason, because I'm ridiculous, I'm unattainably silly, or I'm just so far behind, or, I got stuck somewhere, or whatever my excuse is for people either not enjoying my company, not understanding what I'm saying, not seeing my point of view, whatever the case may be. You don't have to like me. You don't have to understand me. It's fine. But you do have to respectfully behave around me. You can't just smack me and hit me because you don't understand me or you don't like me. It's just, if that happened, then it would be absolute pandemonium chaos. And then it's just basically the exact opposite of what we're in right now. Because right now we're in absolute controlled, corralled, and planned positioning. And most people think we're just evolving naturally, just things are going along. Back to the witch. So I've told you about the introduction. And I'm sorry, this is going to be a long one. What are we in? 36 minutes already. But then she goes into another situation. And the situation is really a parent admitting their faults. And their fault is being a helicopter parent. Oh, that was a helicopter parent and never listening. Okay. That's 98% of the population. We should all stop talking to each other. Because it is true. So many people don't listen. Even the listeners these days aren't very good listeners anymore. It's a true thing. The system started the helicopter parents. The system got all the parents all worked up that there's abusers and killers and abductors, bullies. Parents reacted, became helicopter parents, became bubble parents, and now they're being told, we don't want to talk to you because you protected us way too much. So, you guys are no good. And then what this witch does is she's like, oh, yes. No, there is no. Yes, supposedly she's got all these people that are opposing. Truth be told, I'm on part A. So this is my reaction to part A. I didn't get a chance to finish the whole hour or something. I had to go to bed. I was tired. So this is my analogy of the first, or my review of the first part. So far, she's done a very good job of making me agree with her. And this is how you sell things, by the way. And she's done a very good job of taking a generation and making it okay to do a lot of things that are happening right now that are destroying our culture. And I want you to remember that, because she is not your friend, this witch. She is your provider of beliefs. What you should believe, how you should believe. And you need to understand how she brings you there, because she brings you very, very smoothly. Like, I was just like, when am I going to disagree? And when I heard the second, I still haven't heard to see if she's invited the parents of these children to say, okay, wait, that's their side. Now it's time for my side. I'm very interested to see if we'll see that. So right now she's got me agreeing with her, which is very interesting. And then we're in the middle of the show, and I'm like, oh, okay, so now there's children that are choosing to not speak to their parents because they were helicopter parents. And this parent fully understood that they were helicopter parents, changed their ways, and now they have a fruitful relationship. And I can go with that. because I can admit to mistakes that I've made, provided that they are given to me, in terms of like that they're told to me that I've made mistakes. And even if I handle myself badly, let's just say I handle myself badly, someone tells me that, and I handle myself badly, I go to my corner, I reflect, which is what people at some point should do. And then I come to terms with the fact that, okay, yeah, I can see where I come off that way. And then I can come to, I'm sorry if I come off that way. Can I explain my side? Because yes, maybe you're receiving it that way. And this is the crux of the matter. Because it's not about blame. It's about communication and understanding each other. And what's happening right now in the machine is every generation is being set up differently for a reason. Babel is being built. So the witch agrees with the old generation, but then introduces the new generation and agrees with the new generation, and then tells the old generation, well, yeah, but you can see how this is right also, right? And then all of a sudden now we're going old generation, a little bit of new generation, just a little bit. Then the new generation starts building, the old generation starts getting discarded, and eventually the old generation is, oh my God, you're a racist, you're a bigot. And it's only 3 generations ago that is what society, that witch, what was maybe a different looking witch on a different show, was teaching and pushing. And we were revering that witch at that time. So the system is set up to change every generation so that the next generation can no longer communicate with the generation before it. Consider when your children go to school. They change the language of the courses, of the levels of the courses. They change the way that math is taught. They change the way English is taught. Why? Because they do not want the children to be able to go to their parents for help, because that's more bonding, that's more understanding, that's more building connections, connective tissues between the parents. They want to disconnect that. So whoever's a teacher, I apologize, but you're part of the system. So if you're a teacher and you're going with the curriculum and you believe in every new upcoming thing that is new and shining and exploratory and just so wonderful, you're part of the reason why we're incrementally changing each generation. You're the vehicle that is being used. And there are many teachers that are waking up to this. But most teachers are very good people, but they think that they have an understanding of what part they play in the system. Back to the witch. So now we are learning that we should go to the teachers and ask for help because our parents just don't understand. Like, they don't understand. Meanwhile, it's the same thing, slightly taught differently and repackaged with a different name. So then your parents look kind of dumb. And then you go to these little witches that are so smart and so successful and they know everything. And you go to them because you want information. You want to be smarter than your parents, for goodness sake. You're going to go to the people that know. The people that people trust. Like this witch. But you don't understand that there's a whole symphony of people that are doing all the work, all the research, and then putting the final product for her to present it to you. The witches that we watch and that we follow are magicians of the mind. So I'm curious to see if this will be part 1. I'm curious to see if there will be an honest and a balanced representation. I'm curious to see if she's got the parents. She said she would have parents. But I'm curious if she's going to lead us down the path of understanding that this is the future and understanding that this is a very good option, it is not. It is the last resort, and you should only do it if you have zero options. If going in is dangerous, if going in will destroy you, and not because you are weak and you cannot go in and speak to people. But that you tried. You explained what your reasoning was. You weren't a coward and you just didn't have communication skills and you just decided to opt for the easiest option. Whether you're a parent or a child, that is the easiest option. Even though it's not easy, technically, it is the easiest option. But it should be the last resort. And it should be final. It's like a death. And it should be taken seriously. It should be contemplated before it is used. And it should always be used with the intention of trying to strengthen yourself to then be able, if your personality doesn't permit for you to go and fight head on with your personality that you're estranged from, your job, once you choose this option, is to strengthen yourself in order to go back. Because closure is in that person, is with that person. The whys are with that person. And you'll never get to the whys fully unless you understand why you weren't able to ask for the whys. And if you're able to get to the whys, or you're able to understand that you'll never get the whys because they won't tell you the whys, they don't want to tell you the whys, then you accept. Human beings are complex, but we're pretty simple. And that's true with everything we do. Things are pretty simple, but they're not easy. So, I'm sure that I've meandered in all sorts of spiraling ways, but thinking is really not straight. And if it's uncomfortable for you to listen to someone that goes left, right, sideways, upwards, down, then it's probably because you're used to linear thinking and you like neat and tidy thoughts. And if you like that, well, there's two routes for you. Either stay, because it's good training, and I will probably annoy you religiously, or welcome, stay, and enjoy. This is great practice, because we don't do things in straight lines here. We do things in circles and swirls. And when I say we, I mean me for the most part right now. But I'm really looking forward to finding more people, because there's a lot more people trying to wake up. And I know that it's difficult. And when you wake up, it's very lonely and scary, kind of. But once you get used to it, and once you run into just enough people to know that you're not alone, it gets easier. It really does. And I know I have at least 16 people where I'm not alone. So part 2 will be coming. I'm going to go and watch the rest of this podcast, and I'll let you know what happened. And then I'm sure I'll have some other crazy winding thoughts about it. So until then, if you haven't yet, please subscribe, and if not, then don't. I don't want to make anyone do anything they don't want to do. I would love it if you did. And if you have any ideas as to what you'd like to talk about, or thoughts that you've had, and maybe I would like to have thoughts on it too, or maybe you've had some thoughts that you have other thoughts on, which there's this really great subscriber that I have that, so eloquent. I think I've mentioned this before. I get nervous actually writing back, so just in case you know who you are, I'm sure you do. I get nervous because you're so eloquent and so thought out and reflective. I'm so lucky to have what I know to be one subscriber that, oh my goodness, it'd be great to talk. But that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for one subscriber at a time, like the one I have, that comments and makes really smart remarks. And really makes me think too. Sometimes I don't even know what to answer, because sometimes I'm like, I haven't thought of that. In fact, I'm going to make a video about one thing that this subscriber made me change my mind on. And I am going to make that video because I think it's important that I do a follow-up on my revised thought on that, because I'm really grateful to that subscriber because they pointed something out and I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't consider that, and I'm going to consider that now. So thank you. And until then, I have my talking voice now, so thank you for letting me warm up. My dog is sleeping. I haven't even really gotten to my coffee because I got really meandering and I was on a roll. And I'm going to be going and starting my day. It is still dark. All of my snow, just an update, is falling off my roof exactly as planned, and I'm so excited. I'm nervous about this winter because this winter has been abnormally freezing. We've already had minus 28 in November. I mean, we're in December now, but in November we had minus 28. We've had minus 40 here last year, and I'm very nervous about it because we're really not done our place, and I'm scared we're gonna have damage. So yeah, stresses of real life. It's amazing. I know, we all have them. So that was my little bit of little crackers in my backpack. Oh, it's very windy. I can see now. That's why. Anyways, have a great evening. Have a great morning. Have a great day. Enjoy your life. Look at the things that are gifts. And remember, the things that are thorns are often lessons that have just not been looked at. Until then, my friends, take care. Stay warm or cool wherever you are. I'll see you later.